Hello friends, welcome back to the parsonage. I'm Pastor Don from First United Methodist Church of Brazoria. Perhaps you remember the old proverb that goes, for want of a nail, the shoe was lost. For want of the shoe, the horse was lost. For want of a horse, the rider was lost. For want of a rider, the message was lost. For want of a message, the battle was lost. For want of a battle, the kingdom was lost, and all for the want of a horseshoe nail. This proverb reminds us that details matter, that small things can have great consequences, and that proverb could likely have no better illustration than the tragic events of December 29th, 1972. It seems an Eastern Airlines jumbo jet was attempting to land at Miami International Airport that evening when a minor problem arose in the cockpit. A light on the instrument panel failed to illuminate as it should have. Now friends, this was one of the newest jets in the air, a Lockheed TriStar, the most sophisticated commercial airliner in use at that time in our country. A jet that some even today suggest was way ahead of its time technologically. It had auto everything. Computers, driving computers, driving computers, driving computers. But, well, this one Eastern Airlines Flight 401 TriStar had a low-tech problem. The nose landing gear down in locked green light wouldn't come on. Now this could signal a malfunction in the landing gear or just in the bulb. With a possibly unsafe nose wheel, the crew wisely elected to abort their landing, entered a holding pattern, and put the jet on autopilot and began troubleshooting. All three pilots were focused on this one little light. So focused, in fact, that somehow the autopilot was accidentally turned off, putting the plane into a slow, gradual descent that no one noticed, preoccupied as they were until it was too late. The jet, a high-tech wonder it was, commanded by a cockpit crew with more than 30,000 flight hours, crashed into the Everglades, tragically killing most of the passengers and crew. It was a preventable tragedy, however, as all too many are. If the flight crew had not fixated upon that one light bulb and had put one person at least in charge of flying the airplane, likely the autopilot would not have been disconnected and the plane would have landed safely. It was, in the end, determined to have been nothing more than a burned out bulb. Friends, a 99-cent light bulb brought down a multi-million-dollar passenger jet and killed more than 100 people for want of a nail. As I was learning to fly, as I flew with the Civil Air Patrol and the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and as I flew as a life flight paramedic, it was drilled into us not to become fixated inside the cockpit or aircraft and neglect the fundamental task of flying the airplane safely. But as we all know, distractions are everywhere. I keep thinking of Doug the dog from the movie Up. He would suddenly stop what he was doing and shout, "Squirrel!" Well, we too can be like Doug. That's true in both our daily lives and especially in our faith lives. I don't know about you, but sometimes I get distracted even while in prayer. I lose my train of thought momentarily. I read once of a young nun who sheepishly admitted the same thing to Mother Teresa. And Mother Teresa supposedly told her ever so kindly that it was all right. Those distractions were then an opportunity to return to God. Well, these days there are many pressing things in our world that can easily distract us away from our faithful lives. In 1 Kings chapter 19, we hear the story of Elijah being told to go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. Followed was a great wind, but God wasn't in that wind. Then came an earthquake, but God, well, he wasn't in the quake. Then there was a huge fire, but again, God wasn't in the fire. And then the Bible tells us there came, quote, a sound of sheer silence, unquote. Guess where God was? In that silence. Psalm 46 tells us to, quote, be still and know that I am God. Friends, we can't let the clamor, busyness, and even worries of the world distract us from the stillness of our faith. We cannot allow ourselves to stop living the lives of disciples of Jesus Christ. We have crosses to bear and gospel to share. We need to keep our focus where it belongs, on our Lord. Simply put, we need to focus on flying the airplane and not allowing small or large things to distract us. In fact, Jesus used his strongest words of rebuke. Get behind me, Satan, not on the Romans or Pharisees, but on Simon Peter, when he tried to distract Jesus and the other disciples from their cross-bearing work. In his closing words to his favorite church, the one in Philippi, St. Paul shared these words of encouragement and focus with the congregation. He said, finally, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Keep on doing the things that you have learned, that you have received and heard and seen in me. And the God of peace will be with you. Let's keep on doing those things too. Let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Let's not allow anything to distract us, for want of nothing is the promise of life everlasting. Let's share that together. Grace, peace, and good health to you all, and happy landings.